Alright, Empathy Chapter 19, Bonding. Let's go. A police precinct sat not far from any of the three children's home, a fact that both Hiro and Riley were intimately familiar with. All three of them were currently standing in front of the desk sergeant, quickly relating the events that had happened to them shortly before. Baymax standing silently behind the group, his skin looking saggier than it had back in the warehouse. Alright, let me get this straight, the desk sergeant said with a sigh as the group finished telling him their story. A man in a kabuki mask attacked you with an army of miniature flying robots. Microbots, Hiro clarified, holding up the microbot he still had trapped in the petri dish as proof. Microbots, the desk sergeant allowed, a dubious tone in his voice as he typed a note onto his computer. Yeah, Hiro confirmed with a rapid nod of his head. He was controlling them telepathically with a neurocraniotransmitter. So Mr. Kabuki was using ESP to attack you three and Balloon Man over there, the desk sergeant surmised, watching Baymax as the robot walked up to the desk and took a piece of scotch tape from the dispenser sitting on the desk. As they watched, Baymax reinflated Rover's arms to its full volume, before the air began loudly hissing out of 3 punctures in the vinyl. Baymax quickly covered one of the holes with the tape, causing the hissing sound to rise an octave. Baymax continued the process until he had patched all the holes in his arm, prompting him to inflate his other arm and begin working on the punctures in it as well. The desk sergeant sighed, pushing the tape dispenser towards Baymax before turning his attention back to the 3 children. I'm starting to think he doesn't believe us, Joy observed. Yeah. Gee, you think? Discuss questioned sarcastically. Officer, please, you know us, Riley stated. We wouldn't lie. You're right, I do know you, the officer replied as he eyed Riley. As I recall, 2 of you were locked in here for a couple of hours a few months back. Smooth, Disgust said with a snort as Tip pinched the bridge of her nose while Riley smiled nervously. Well, we weren't charged at least, Riley argued. Stop talking, Tip whispered sharply. Okay, Riley replied as she seemed to shrink in on herself slightly. Did you file a report when your flying robots were stolen? The desk sergeant questioned as he turned towards Hiro. Why do you keep calling them flying? Tip questioned, annoyance clear on her face. We didn't say they were flying. Are you even listening to us? Did you file a report or not? The desk sergeant pressed, ignoring Tip's question. No! Hiro groaned as he ran a hand through his messy hair. I thought they had all been destroyed. Officer, we know this sounds crazy, but we all saw it, Riley pleaded before indicating to Baymax. Even Baymax saw it. Yes, officer, Baymax confirmed. They are telling the truth. The trio of children blinked in surprise as Baymax suddenly slurred his words and seemed to stumble for a second, his posture becoming slouched and his arms moving in jerky motions. That doesn't seem good, Samus observed. Are you okay, Baymax? Riley questioned cautiously. Low battery, Baymax slurred, the corresponding symbol appearing on his chest, before making a noise that could only be described as a hiccup. Whoa, 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 Hiro said, holding his hands up as Baymax began to stumble towards him. Try to keep it together. I'm healthcare, Baymax slurred as he began to tip over, prompting the trio to run over and prop him up. Your personal Baymax companion. Look, kids, the desk sergeant said with a sigh as he wheeled his chair over to another part of his desk and grabbed a pen and clipboard. Why don't we call your parents? What? Hiro questioned, his voice laced with fear. If you three could just write down your names and numbers, I can... The desk sergeant started to say, but when he turned back, he found that the four had vanished, with only a trail of scotch tape marking their passage. What was that about? Tip demanded as she helped Riley and Hiro get Baymax safely down the stairs that led to the entrance of the precinct. Do you want to get our parents involved in this? Hiro questioned in return, giving Tip a pointed look. Either they'll freak out or they'll think we're crazy like that guy did. That sounds bad, Fear stated. Tip didn't look satisfied with this, but didn't argue either. Besides, I need to get Baymax home so he can recharge, Hiro stated before he turned his attention towards the robot in question. Can you walk? Scanning you now, Baymax replied as he stood up straight and raised one hand with a single finger extended before he leaned backwards and fell into a sitting position, hiccuping as he did. Healthcare. I'll take that as a no. Hiro sighed as he stepped forward and put one of Baymax's arms around his shoulders. Here, let me help, Riley said as she stepped towards Hiro and Baymax. No, it's okay, I don't... Hiro began to say, but Riley ignored him as she walked over to Baymax's other side and threw his arm over her shoulder. Need your help. Yeah, that's right, Anger laughed. Why don't you keep your mouth shut if you know what's good for you? Tip watched as Riley helped Hiro stand Baymax up, taking note of the way that the other girl was purposefully not looking at the boy. Speaking of which, I should probably be getting home, Tip stated, glancing up at the sky as she spoke. My mom is probably wondering where I am. You sure? Riley questioned as she looked over at Tip. Oh, please, don't leave us alone, Fear begged. Not like this. Yeah, I think I've had enough craziness for one day, Tip replied with a chuckle, making a point of looking at Riley before glancing over at Hiro. Try not to break into any of her superhero lairs without me, alright? It's fine, Joy reassured the others. We've got this. It's fine. Okay, Riley agreed with a chuckle. See you tomorrow. See ya, Tip called back before she began jogging in the direction of home. Shouldn't you be getting home too? Hiro questioned cautiously after Tip had left. Your aunt invited me to dinner, Riley replied, her smile falling away as she glanced over at Hiro. Is that a problem? No, Hiro replied, caught off guard in the heat by the heat in Riley's voice. No problem at all. Yeah, I didn't think so, Anger snorted. With that, the two set off towards the Lucky Cat Cafe, supporting Baymax between them while an uncomfortable silence hung in the air. Yep, tension between Hiro and Riley. I can't really blame them. The sun had already mostly set by the time Hiro, Riley, and Baymax reached the Lucky Cat Cafe, prompting Hiro to let them in through the back. Okay, if my aunt asks, we were just hanging out this afternoon, alright? Hiro requested as he and Riley helped Baymax into the house. Got it, Riley confirmed with a nod. We jumped out a window, Baymax declared loudly as he leaned down to Hiro and Riley's level. No, quiet! Hiro hissed as Riley moved to cover Baymax's mouth. We jumped out a window, Baymax repeated at a lower volume. Oh, this is bad, Fear moaned. You can't see things like that around Aunt Cass, Hiro said with a pleading voice, before putting a finger up to his lips and shushing Baymax, an action that the robot drunkenly copied. Riley and Hiro shared an uneasy look before they began to make their way up the stairs to the apartment above. As they did, Baymax attempted to follow, only to trip and bump into the walls loudly. Riley and Hiro froze midway up the stairs and looked down at Baymax, who looked back up at them before shushing them again. Hiro? Cass called from the apartment above. Is that you, sweetie? This is very bad, Fear declared again. Yeah, it's me, Hiro replied as he made his way up the stairs, glancing nervously back at Baymax as Riley followed him. I thought I heard you, Cass stated. Is Riley with you? Right here, Riley answered with a smile and a wave as she peeked her head around the corner once she reached the top of the stairs. Oh, good, you made it, Cass said happily as she leaned against one of the kitchen counters. I let your parents know you were eating dinner with us. Figured you might have forgotten. Oh, doy! Disgust grumbled before Riley heard the emotion smack her own forehead. We completely forgot! Oh, thanks, Riley replied with a nervous chuckle as she tucked a stray hair behind her ear. I actually did forget. I got you covered, Cass replied with a wink before she turned back towards the kitchen. The wings are almost ready, too. Woo! Baymax suddenly declared as he came thundering up the stairs, throwing one hand up in a rock-on gesture as he did. Reacting on pure instinct, Riley spun around and kicked Baymax in the chest, sending the robot stumbling back down a few steps before he managed to catch himself. Well, it's certainly good to know that Riley's Tai Chi lessons have allowed her to learn karate, or kung fu. Yeah, woo! Wings! Cass called, oblivious to the action happening behind her as she continued preparing the food. Grabbing hold of Baymax, Hiro dragged the robot up onto the landing and began forcing him up the stairs to the second floor. But the android's constant flopping and stumbling made the task difficult. Alright, get ready to have your faces melted off, Cass declared as she began setting the food on the kitchen table. We are going to feel these things tomorrow. Actually, Aunt Cass, Hiro began to say as he successfully shoved Baymax up the stairs to the second floor. I'm feeling kinda beat, so I was... Hiro's words died in his throat as Riley abruptly punched him in the kidney, causing him to double over in pain and let out a wheezing cough. Oh my god! What the hell, Riley? Hiro snorted in a hushed tone as he turned towards the girl. I'm not... Whatever angry retort Hiro had was rendered powerless as his gaze met Riley's angry glare. The girl's look was so intense that Hiro could swear that her blue eyes were boring into his skull. What truly gave Hiro pause was the sensation in his head that accompanied that glare. Something akin to a smoldering fire or the buzz of an agitated wasp. Go ahead, pal, anger growled in Riley's head. Make my day. Everything okay? Cass questioned as she turned to look at Hiro and Riley, quirking an eyebrow at them. Yeah, I just need to, Hiro mumbled as he shifted his eyes between Cass and Riley. His thoughts were interrupted by a thud from upstairs that drew everyone's eyes upward. I've got to go take care of something, Hiro said as he began bounding up the stairs. I'll be right down. Cass watched as Hiro disappeared upstairs before she turned her attention towards Riley, watching as the girl's gaze lingered on the stairs before she sighed and turned away. Yeah, that's right! You better run! Anger yelled. Anger, come on, Joy complained. This is Hiro. We can't keep treating him like this. Why not? Disgust countered. He's been a huge jerk to us. I'm starting to wonder why I even liked him in the first place. Okay. Cass spoke up as she took off her apron and set it aside, while Riley turned her attention towards the woman. I know I just asked this, but is everything okay? Lie! Fear said quickly. Lie, lie, lie! Yeah, Riley replied, looking away from Cass as she tucked a strand of hair behind her ear. Tucked. Everything is fine. Ugh! Disgust groaned. Boy, that was convincing. Cass observed sarcastically before she pulled 2 chairs away from the table and sat down in one. Come here. Let's have some girl talk while Hiro deals with... whatever. Biting her lower lip nervously, Riley hesitated for a moment before nodding and walking over to the table to sit in the offered chair. So, as I hope you've noticed, I'm not blind, Cass stated with a smirk, earning a chuckle from Riley. So, I saw that you and Hiro haven't really been the same around one another today. Riley mumbled as she looked away from Cass again and tucked another strand of hair behind her ear. Okay, that's about, 2 or 3 times she's done that now. Riley's a nervous wreck sometimes. Oh, how do we explain this? Sandus pondered aloud. It's alright. Cass stated as she reached out and gently placed a hand on Riley's knee. I understand. She does? Sandus questioned. You do? Riley echoed her emotion in surprise as she looked back at Cass. Jinx! Well, yeah, Cass replied with a chuckle. I know you're young and all, but you can't possibly think you're the first person to have guy troubles. Well, I suppose that's true, Joy commented. I guess not, Riley replied with a shrug and an embarrassed smile. I'm kind of beating around the bush anyway, Cass observed. I know you're upset with Hiro. Well, you don't need to be psychic to figure that out, Disgust observed. The smile fell away from Riley's face as she nodded hesitantly. You're upset that he wasn't there for you when you needed him, Cass continued. Wow, she's good, Sandus observed. Riley gave another nod as her gaze fell to her lap. Boy, have I been there, sister, Cass stated with a sigh and a chuckle as she leaned back in her chair. Remind me to tell you some stories about my old boyfriend sometime. Hiro's not really, Riley began to say as her face heated up. I know he's not really your boyfriend, Cass reassured her. You guys are a little young for that. But at the same time, I know you like him, and I know he likes you. And I know that you've kissed him. Twice. Uh-oh, Fear said. Only on the cheek, Riley protested as her entire face turned scarlet. Relax, Riley, this isn't an interrogation, Cass said with a chuckle. All I'm saying is that you care about Hiro a lot, and that I understand it hurts when someone you care about doesn't seem to care about you. Wait, Sandus gasped. She's not saying... You don't think he cares about me? Riley questioned, her expression turning to one of heartbreak. Oh, no! Cass replied quickly, her eyes widening as she realized her mistake while she reached out to take Riley's hands in hers. I'm sorry, that's not what I meant at all. Of course he cares about you. Oh, thank goodness, Joy stated with a sigh of relief. Really? Riley asked as she quickly blinked away some tears. Of course he does, Cass confirmed with a chuckle. I can see it in the way he looks at you. I should know, he is my Cass caught herself as Riley sensed some sort of sadness briefly wash over the woman. My nephew, Cass corrected. I know better than anyone how he's feeling. Aw, Cass almost called Hiro her son. That's so adorable. I suppose that's true, Riley agreed with a nod of her head and a small smile. Well, not entirely true, Joy commented. Don't get me wrong, though, Cass stated. He may have been hurting, but he was still selfish. He should have been there for you, and he wasn't. He's going to have to make up for that. All I'm trying to say is that he's still that same boy who threw you a birthday party. I understand, Riley replied with another nod. Thank you. And thank you for not giving up on him, Cass stated while giving Riley's hands a squeeze. Wouldn't dream of it, Joy affirmed. Hey, guys, Hiro said as he walked down the stairs, smiling awkwardly at Cass and Riley as he approached them. I took care of the thing upstairs. Great, then let's eat, Cass replied as she scooched her chair away from Riley's and began piling the plates on the table high with high with sauce-covered chicken wings. As she did, Hiro walked over and sat down next to Riley. As Riley watched him begin shoveling Cass's cooking into his mouth, a few thoughts began to run through her head, ones that turned her expression troubled. Well, at least Hiro's actually eating something now. That's a good thing. And what better to eat than sauce-covered chicken wings? I like my chicken wings either plain or with gravy, but I've got to try some hot sauce on them sometime. Later. Man, your aunt wasn't kidding, Riley commented with a chuckle as she wiped her watering eyes as she followed Hiro down the stairs to the first floor of the building. Those chicken wings are something else. You should be here the next time she makes chili, Hiro replied with a smirk. That's the stuff of nightmares. Like literal food-induced nightmares. I think we'd better not, Fear commented. Riley giggled at the joke as she reached the door leading outside. How's Baymax? Riley questioned as she turned to face Hiro. He'd gone into a standby mode by the time I got him upstairs, Hiro answered as he stopped in front of Riley. I was able to get him propped up in his charging station. He should be fine by tomorrow. That's good to hear, Riley stated. Thanks for walking me to the door. If you heard an echo, that was me walking under a small bridge. No problem, it's just downstairs, Hiro replied as he scratched the back of his head. Are you sure you don't want me to walk you back to your house? I'll be fine, Riley answered with a shake of her head. An awkward pause fell between the two. An awkward pause fell between the two, as Hiro continued to scratch the back of his head, while Riley tucked a strand of hair behind her ear. Riley's done it about 4 times now. Alright, Disgust grumbled. Somebody has to say something. Hiro, Riley started to say, only to stop as the boy said her name at the same time, causing them both to pause before chuckling. You go first, Riley offered, giving Hiro a small smile. Well... Hiro paused as he mulled over the words he wanted to say, Riley sensing the trepidation he was experiencing. I wanted to apologize. Apologize? Riley questioned, surprised. Apologize for what? For, how I've been acting since since the fire, Hiro elaborated, sadness and fear gnawing in his chest. I was selfish. I should have been there for you. Wow, that was... Joy trailed off as she tried to find the right word. Abrupt, Disgust provided. Suspicious? I was going to say nice, Joy countered drolly. Hiro, were you eavesdropping when I was talking with your aunt? Riley questioned as she narrowed her eyes at the boy. Eavesdropping is such a bad word, isn't it? Hiro asked with an awkward smile. Riley's cold stare quickly wiped the smile off of his face. Okay, yeah, I was eavesdropping, Hiro admitted as he turned his gaze towards his feet. I'm sorry for that too, but the fact of the matter is that my aunt is right. I should have been there for you, and I wasn't. I'm sorry. You don't have to apologize, Hiro, Riley said with a shake of her head as she looked away from him. What? Hiro questioned in surprise as his eyes snapped back up towards Riley. I mean, I appreciate the apology. I really do, Riley clarified as she crossed her arms protectively over her chest. But you have nothing to apologize for. I don't understand, Hiro said, confusion evident on his face. Sadness, Joy said with a worried tone. I'm not sure this is a good idea. We have to say something, Joy, Sadness countered. You know it's true. My talk with your aunt, it got me thinking, Riley explained, taking a calming breath before she continued. Hiro, you lost your brother. I'm an only child, and this is the part where I tell you that I have no idea what this is like for you. Except that I do. I know exactly how you feel, and it just makes me feel stupid. Riley, you were practically in a coma, Hiro pointed out. Only because of my stupid powers! Riley argued as tears began welling up in her eyes. If I hadn't been so stupid, I could have got my damn mental shields up and protected myself. Instead, I got overwhelmed. I couldn't even get myself out of it without help. Your pain is real. Mine is just borrowed. Borrowed? Hiro questioned in confusion. Tadashi was your friend, wasn't he? What kind of question is that? Anger asked. Of course, Riley replied, clearly confused by the question. Then some of that pain was yours, Riley, Hiro argued. You were hurting, but that didn't stop you from coming to help me. Hiro, Riley started to argue. No, seriously, Hiro interrupted. I get what you're saying. That he was my brother, so my pain is worse than yours. But I care about you too, Riley. I should have been there when you needed me to be. I shouldn't have said those things I did today. Especially if it made you feel so useless. Hiro paused, biting his lip and lowering his gaze from Riley, as she felt fear and anxiety seep out of him. You're anything but useless, Riley, Hiro questioned, still not looking at Riley. You're one of the most important people I have left. Do you think you can forgive me? Well, geez, Joyce said with a mock sigh, when you put it that way. In response, Riley dropped her arms to the side, before she quickly stepped forward and wrapped them around Hiro, squeezing him as tightly as she could. Hiro was caught off guard for a moment before he returned the hug. The two stayed like that for a few moments, quietly giving each other their support, until Riley felt Hiro's anxiety and fear fade away. Alright, fine, Discuss said with a dreamy sigh. I guess I like him again. I guess I could take that as a yes, Hiro commented with an awkward chuckle as he released Riley. Duh! Riley confirmed with a giggle as she gave Hiro a playful swat on the arm, before her expression turned remorseful. I'm sorry about the fire, Hiro. It's alright, Hiro replied with a shrug and a sigh. It was an accident. Or was it? Hiro's words trailed off as a pensive look crossed his features, before he reached into his pocket and fished out the microbot he still had. Hiro? Riley questioned, her voice laced with concern. What's wrong? The man in the mask, Hiro said, his brow knitted together in thought. He stole my microbots. Both steal and manufacture. More of them. Yeah, we know that already, Anger commented. Yeah, that's pretty obvious, Riley confirmed with a nod. But he had to have stolen them from the expo hall, Hiro explained. Riley, don't you get it? He set the fire to cover his tracks. Riley's eyes widened with understanding as she covered her mouth in shock. Oh no, Sandus whispered in horror. He's the reason Tadashi is dead! Hiro snarled, his hands clenching into fists as a burning anger surrounded him, an emotion so intense that Riley had to take a step away from the boy. He murdered my brother! With a heated growl, Hiro slammed his fist against the nearby wall, before hissing in pain as the shock of the blow raced up his arm. "Hiro!" Riley said, her tone worried as she took a step towards him. "Did he hurt himself?" Fear wondered aloud. "I'm fine," Hiro grunted as he held up a hand to stop her. "Sorry, I just got angry," Riley finished for him, a small smile curling her lip. "Trust me, I know." "Right," Hiro agreed with a chuckle before his expression turned morose. "Riley, we have to do something. We have to catch this guy." "Catch him?" Riley questioned in confusion. "Hiro, how are we going to catch him? He almost killed us today. This is something the police should be handling." "The police don't even believe he exists," Hiro hissed, his anger flaring again. "And even if they did, do you think a couple of guys with guns could stop something like we saw today?" A chill ran down Riley's spine as she thought of the possibilities, and she wrapped her arms around herself again. "God," Fear whispered. "That would be... I can't even imagine." "What should we do then?" Riley questioned. "Like I said, we catch this guy," Hiro explained. "We catch him and expose him to the world. We can use Baymax to help us." "How do we stand up to someone like that?" Disgust demanded. "I don't know, Hiro," Riley stated uncertainty. "Riley, you saw his lair or whatever," Hiro said as he placed his hands on her shoulders. "He killed my brother and stole my microbots because he wanted them for something. Something big. Who knows how many people he will hurt or kill if we don't stop him?" Riley squeezed her eyes closed, trying her best to keep the horrible images that flooded through her mind at bay. "Fear, that's enough!" Joy snapped. "But he's right!" Fear argued. "Trust me, this is the last thing I want to do. But if this guy has some sort of doomsday plan, a lot of people could get hurt. Or worse." "He could hurt our friends," Sadness agreed. He could kill Mom and Dad." "Screw that!" Anger bellowed. "This guy's already done enough damage. I say we work with Hiro and we take this loser down. Hard!" "Okay," Riley relented. "I'll help in whatever way we can." "Great," Hiro replied with a nod. "We'll have to let Tip know too." "What about the others?" Riley questioned. "No," Hiro answered with a firm shake of his head. "The three of us are already involved in this. We don't need to go dragging the others in as well." "I'm not sure I agree with this part of the plan," Fear commented. "Hiro," Riley began to argue uncertainly. "No!" Hiro snapped, causing Riley to take half a step back from him as a sudden burst of anger struck her. The anger quickly subsided as Hiro looked at Riley's stunned expression, the emotion quickly replaced by pain and sadness. "Easy, pal," Anger said cautiously. "Same team over here." "I'm sorry," Hiro said as he lowered his gaze again. You were right about us almost getting killed. I know I can't keep you and Tip out of this now, but I can't put the others at risk." Riley began to say, struggling to keep her words straight as Hiro's worry and anxiety washed over her. "I don't think this is your choice to make." "Please, Riley," Hiro pleaded, reaching out and taking the girl's hands into his as he looked her in the eyes. "Just keep this between us. That's all I'm asking." Riley looked up at Hiro's pleading expression for a few long moments before she sighed in defeat. "Ah, geez," Joy sighed. "He's giving us the pouty eyes." "I prefer the term puppy dog eyes." "Not much we can do against that," Disgust added. "All right, Hiro," Riley relented, dipping her head down as she did. "We'll keep this between me, you, Tip, and Baymax." Well, maybe just not them. Not just them, Hiro stated uncertainly. Who else would we tell? Riley questioned in confusion. You saw how tough that guy was today, Hiro explained. We're going to need an edge to beat this guy, and I know just the person who can give it to us. Oh. This one turned out to be more of a bridging chapter, but I had fun writing it nonetheless. Bridging chapter my butt, Finmonster. This is incredible. I'm glad you had fun writing it. I had a lot of fun reading it. And who are Hiro and Riley going to get for help? Is it Takahito? I guess we'll just have to wait and see. I am excited for the next chapter, guys. Are you? Good. Until then, I hope you all have a good night. I'm the Masked Ranger saying, keep moving forward, and have a nice day tomorrow, and for the rest of your lives, all the way to infinity and beyond. Good night, everybody.